Hey guys, welcome to another video, part 3, I believe. Yeah, part 3 of this series of creating a fireplace with, of course, a fire in it, which is now missing, and we're going to work on it in this video. We're going to not use, we're not going to use, wow, English, we're not going to use a simulation for this fire. Instead, we're going to use a video played in a plane in the fireplace. This is an especially great technique that you can use also for smoke or any VFX that you want to play or use in your animations or whatever, to save up a lot of or a lot of RAM in your project, so it won't lag any more than it has to. However, this method is only usable if you're going to see the effect from the front. So if you're planning on rotating around the fire or around any other effect that can be used in this way, then this method is not usable. However, we're going to use this method because we're making this animation from the front, so we're not going to see any depth in the flame. So let's start right ahead, and for this method we have to enable one of the already in Blender add-on. So we're going to preferences, and then we go to add-ons, and then we search up plane, and you will see this add-on. It's already pre-installed, but you have to enable it if you have never used it before, which is basically import, export, import images as planes. What this does, or what this actually lets you do, is if you use Shift A to, of course, add something to the scene, and then you see an extra option called images as planes. This way you can basically open up images, but also, which a lot of people don't know, you can also import videos, which we're going to do. And we're basically going to open this one. I got mine from Envato Elements, which is a paid option. However, you can get yours through YouTube, through basically if you just look up a fire flame loop or something in that sentence or that example, then you will find something like this with either a green background, a blue background, or a black background. So we're gonna use this one. I'm gonna try and find some for you guys that you can use. I'll put the link in the description where you can find those for free. So yeah, let's import this, and as you can see, let's just go out of render mode. It will import a plane that has the same dimensions as your picture or video. So what we're going to do is just rotate it on the axis, x-axis, or at least it's for me the x. You have to see if you rotated your fireplace on the y, but we are rotating it on 90 degrees. You basically do that by hitting R to rotate, and then the axis you want to rotate it on, for me it's X, and then I type in 90, and we'll rotate it perfectly on the x-axis on 90 degrees. Alright, so we have to place this into our fireplace, of course, like this, something like this. And then if we go to rendered mode, then we will see there is a fire in there. However, this does not look right because of two things. One, it's not glowing, of course, and fire has to glow. And two, it still has the black background. We can do this very easily. So yeah, let's just go ahead with it. And we will open the shader editor like this, and as you can see, it has already imported your image or your video in this case, and it already put it into the alpha. However, we're going to get it out of the alpha and also get it out of the principal BSDF, because we're going to use something else. We're going to use an emission shader. So Shift A to open a new node and type in emission. Okay. We are also going to use a transparent node so we can get rid of the background. And lastly, or not lastly, one more after this, we're going to need a mix shader, and lastly a color ramp, like this. Alright. So what we're going to do is plug the video into the emission, like this. And if we have node editor, node wrangler, sorry. So go to preferences and then type in node wrangler, this one, and enable that. You should have already enabled this if you're following the tutorials, but just in case, be sure to have that enabled, because now we can hold shift and control and click on whatever node we want to preview very fast. This is very handy, so it saves a lot of time. So as you can see, it already glows a lot more than before, because if we click this one, weird, it didn't glow just a minute ago, but however, with this we can make it glow even more. So just like this, you see. Alright, then we are going to pick the mix shader and just hold it on this line. Oh my god, today I'm not able to talk English at all. However, we're picking the mix shader, put it on the mix on the line between emission and the material output. This way we can mix two shaders, and we're going to put the transparent BSDF into the mix shader. And with this, the color ramp, we can basically get rid of all the black in the background, basically. So what we're going to do is put the color into the vector, and the color output of the color ramp into the vector of the mix shader. And this is probably a bit too hard to see, so I'm going to tap slash. What this basically does, okay, sorry, I have to restart my Blender, so I'll be back in a minute because it has an error. Alright, we're back. Sorry guys, I had to restart the recording, but yeah, we can just go from where we have left off. Alright, so if you did it correctly, yeah, what we can do right now is, if we have the plane selected, we can tap the slash button to just solo it, so we only see the plane. And as you can see, it still has the black background. So to get rid of it, what we do is basically play around with this color ramp, and as you can see, if we actually, yeah, I did it wrong. We have to change the emission and the transparent, and as you can see, this way we can basically get rid of the black background. However, it just looks a bit faded. So what we also can do is put up the black side, and then low, or put the white a bit closer to the black, and this way I actually want to have a bit of that reddish fire still on there, because it will help sell the effect of something actually burning on the lower side of the flame, basically. So basically the logs, but yeah, just like this. And yeah, you just have to play around with this until it suits what you need. Alright, then if we go back to the timeline and we play it, it does not play in real time because my computer can't handle it, but it should be easy to handle for a decent PC. But as you can see, the video still plays in the back. So if we tap slash again, I actually have to enable the key shortcut UV. Alright, so if we tap slash again, we get back everything. Yeah, it basically glows in there. You can also just put up the emission, of course, to get a bit more light in there. Let's see, we have not selected the fire. Emission. It does, however, eventually become white, which is not very believable. So you have to find the right spot where you can, and also you have to basically play around with the shader, the color ramp. Sorry. All right. This is a very easy method. You can also use this with smoke, as I said. And what we're going to do right now is basically duplicate this and place it around, just like this. And now you might think, but now they all look the same. Well, actually you can offset the frames. So what we can do with this, there's an offset button. However, we're not going to play with this until we make this shader a unique one. So what you basically can do is, without duplicating the shader or recreating it, you can basically just make this shader on this object a new one by hitting this button. What this does, as you can see right here, now this shader with the flames is on 3 objects. However, we want every object to have its own shader, so we can edit the offset individually, basically. So let's do that by hitting this, and as you can see, this shader is only on 1. Now we go to the other one. Now you can see it has, this shader is on 2 objects. I actually want the side ones, so we're going to leave the middle one to have just an offset of 0, and the side ones we will edit the offset just like that. And now if we play around with the offset, as you can see, it basically just takes another frame in this fire flame loop and makes that as the start loop, basically. So if we go to the timeline and we go way back to the first frame, which is not the first frame right now, I don't know why. However, if we go back to the first frame, just like this, what this basically does is, if we go to the shader again, sorry, as you can see, we offset it by 21. It's, I believe, yeah, so the offset is the number of the frame to use in the animation as the first frame. So if we go back to the timeline and go to frame 1, remember this flame, right? Go to 21, that's frame 21. So for this flame, it starts on the frame 21. However, we don't want it to be that far away, so we're going to put this one on basically around 10, and the other one we can basically put that on around, you can see if 5 works, and then just put them a bit closer to each other, just like that. And just like that, you have basically a fire. You can just play around and try to make it as fitting to what you like as possible. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my tea. But yeah, that's basically it. For the next of this tutorial, we're going to work on the scene around the fireplace, because as you can see right now, first of all, we have to actually add a camera, and Alt R to set it back to its original rotation, and Alt G to put it back in its original place, which is already there. So we're going to move it on the y-axis, and if you have your fireplace rotated on the x-axis, then move it on the x, of course. However, we're going to do that on the y, and then rotate it on the x by 90 degrees. And now if we hit 0, we get into the camera view, just like that. Okay, like you can see, this does not look very cozy just yet. So if we want to do that, we actually have to create something around it. And what I did for the fireplace example is just add a cube, just like that, and put it around the fireplace. This is very hard to work around with, so if you go to the object properties, I believe, yeah, viewport display, and then display as wire, sorry, why is it not displaying as a wire? Okay, yeah, we have to go to solid mode, of course. Yeah, so it will display as a wire, which is way easier to work with than a box, of course. If we go to edit mode and then go to the side by hitting 3 on your numpad, hitting 1 will select the vertice mode, and if we enable what is this called again, toggle X-ray, then we can hit all the vertices that are aligned to each other on this way. So if we don't use the X-ray, then if we select this, we will only select the ones that we can see, and with X-ray we can select everything that's even behind this. So yeah, if we go back to side view with numpad 3, we can actually move this up by hitting G, and then on hitting Z to bring it up on the Z axis, just like this, just to make it a bit easier to work around with, basically. Alright, and then we go to the top view by hitting 7 on the numpad, and then moving this on the x-axis, this also on the x-axis. Alright, just like that. We can also just go a bit further and just, you know, moving this so it just fits exactly the scene. However, don't go past the camera, which you can see right here. If we do that, then we cannot see anything. We will only see the box, of course. But yeah, on the Y, just like that. Alright. Yeah, so if we go now into the camera view by hitting 0 on the numpad, and we go into rendered view, it's all dark. That's because there's no light in this scene yet. But we will fix that by actually giving this box a window. What we do is hitting 3 on numpad, which will make it into a face select, so now we can actually hit select faces instead of vertices. So hit 3, normal 3, not on the numpad, or basically just click this one. Then we hit I to inverse this face, and then we can basically just hit X and then delete faces. This way we actually made a little window, and if you had added the sun from the last video, then you should basically have some kind of very soothing moonlight type of sphere right now. But if you did not add that, we can actually just do this right now. Go back into solid mode to see the box. We add a light with Shift A, of course, light, and then sun, and then rotate this on the Y axis, so it rotates through this window basically. With the sunlight, it does not matter where you put it, which is very strange actually, but you can even put it below the box and it will still come from this side basically. but just for visual sake, we will put it in front of the window. We can also make the window a bit smaller. I did this by selecting the edge mode, which is up in here. You can also just use the number 2 on your normal in your normal numbers, basically on your keyboard, and then scale it on the Y and move it on the X. Scale it just a little bit. This just will result in a more smaller. Okay. Does it have to be bigger? Okay, this is a bit strange. We'll open this one on the side. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Of course, we added a new sunlight. Mine was had a bit of tint to it, just like that. And if you just want to render out what is in the camera view, we can actually also do that by selecting the camera. Go into the camera options, go to the viewport display, and you will see this passe-partout. I think that's French. I'm not sure. But if we slide this up to 1, then we will only see what is in the camera view. This will basically help a lot with creating basically the scene. But yeah, my light had a bit of blue tint in it. To replicate that moonlight instead of a sunlight. And then I believe, yeah, I lowered the strength a bit to just have that really cozy feel to it. Lastly, what I actually did was add a few lights into the room, some warm light. I did this by adding point lights. And then if we go into the front view, we can just put them right here. And if we hit Shift D, we can duplicate it and put another one on the other corner. And then with holding it down Shift, and we go into the list and clicking the other light, we can both move them at the same time. Then we move them on the Y. And as you can see, we will have some new lights in here. However, they are very white and very bright, which rhymes. We can actually just make this a bit more warmer to have that like room light. What we can do is if we hover over the color and then hit Ctrl C, we can just copy the color of this light, and then we go to the other light and hit Ctrl V and paste the light. You have to hover over the color, of course. And as you can see, I created this more warm-ish light. What we can also do is just lower the power to have it just very subtle, just like that. Do it also with this one. I believe this one was around 1.6. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's about it. We can actually just put the fire a bit more back, I believe. Let's see. We want it to be on the logs, just like that. And like I mentioned, you want to have that reddish on the bottom, which will result in giving that effect of something actually burning in there. Because it's emissive, it will give that glow, that reddish glow, onto the logs, basically. And if we scale it up, it will sit into the logs, just like that. Alright, that's basically it. I'll see you guys in the next video where we will go over rendering this and exporting this eventually into an MP4, all inside of Blender, without needing any other program. Alright, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.